Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I hope you guys are all enjoying the show so far. I'm honored to be on stage with Damian and Patrick. We're going to talk a little bit about how Sleep Number cuts through the cluttered sponsorship landscape. Obviously, tons of brands in sponsorship these days, but what Sleep Number is accomplishing, what they're currently doing with the NFL platform is truly remarkable. So, in the spirit of transparency, this is not the first time you guys have been on stage together, correct? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the relationship?
Well, I think it's the relationship. We'll also talk about like how we got here, because again, I always say I'm just smart enough to figure out we need really good partners. I'm just smart enough to find really good partners, and through conversations, actually through the NFL, we were introduced to a 72 and Sunny, and that's where Damian and I started the conversation, because we knew we needed to, as an NFL partner, it's such a big part of what we do as marketers, completely maximize the opportunity. And 72 and Sunny knows both this world well. You just saw that if you're in the last session, last two sessions. But also, we're not just sports marketers, right? And we knew we needed to tap into somebody that could serve all our customers, because our sports partnership is just a part of our marketing. It is not a separate part of it. And so through the conversations, and again, you figure out where your shared overlap is, where your objectives is. It just became the right fit, and so that's how we have to meet them, and we've had an opportunity to tell the story in different ways along the way.
Exactly. One of the things that's important to us as we look for partners, just generally, it's not someone, we're an agency. Let's call it like it is. This is the no BS zone, right? We get paid to do some work and provide a service process. But for us, it's not just about a partner who's going to be willing to pay. It's a partner that is going to match our value system and our approach. And shockingly, sometimes it's tough to find marketers who are kind and thoughtful to their agency partners. And very quickly, we figured out by early chats with Patrick and his team that they were the type of people we want to work with. And so then doing the work becomes much easier thereafter. So we've done this before, partially because Patrick's a hell of a good guy, and he's super smart, so I enjoy being around him.
And I keep coming back because he says stuff like that. So it's kind of good.
So Damian, are you saying not all marketers are open to outside ideas other than their own? Is that what you're saying?
Is that a trick question?
It kind of is.
Okay. So maybe thought about how I answered that.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
no problem. So Patrick, 7th year with the NFL. What was the decision about jumping in that first year, and how is that decision still relevant today, or has it changed?
Yeah, we have a highly complicated product. And if you're familiar with this, most people know what Sleep Number is, but the first thing is like, is that worth it? And do I understand what you do? Because the thing about our product and our space is everybody in this room owns the product in this category. It's not a category you don't know. Everybody in here sleeps on a bed. So the difference is all of you most likely have a bed that's stacked, like a phone, something like that. And ours, oh, by the way, it plugs into the wall, you connect to your Wi-Fi, you wake up in the morning, it tells you your HRV, your breath rate, how you slept. Oh, by the way, you can adjust it inside for you and your partner. That's highly complicated, right? So we know that we needed a platform to tell that story that was more of a pull than a push. And we had a lot of, we knew sports was a good way to talk about performance, and this isn't just for athletes. All of us understand good sleep leads to great performance, whether that is in your day job, whether you are just with Justin Jefferson on the field on Sundays, right? And so we went out and looked at different partners that could help tell that story, and we actually looked across sports, and there was a lot of different partners that were really willing, because people were starting to realize that, hey, yeah, we're on the curve, we understand nutrition is important, but the sleep thing matters. And so a lot of great conversations there, but let's talk about how we find the great partners is like who matches up best. And a couple things there. NFL players sleep on their own bed 6 days a week. If you're the Cowboys and the Packers, you sleep in it 7 days a week. Like huge conversations and partnership with the Lakers. Gene Buss, who's the owner, huge Sleep Number person. Great organization. They're not in their bed. And for us, it had to be something truly authentic where we could do that. So, one, NFL is the biggest sports and entertainment platform out there. 2, the actual sports and how they want to adopt it and match what we want to do. And then 3, which you heard earlier, is like we wanted to align what we needed to do as a brand, and the NFL does it extremely well. That, you know, at some point I'll walk through, like even this week, how we're plugging into the platform of the NFL and how that overlaps with who we are as marketers, and it just works really well. And so we just continue to grow with them as they grow. Because when we walked in the NFL, it was what Tim was talking about earlier. You know, they had two huge issues. The conversations in the NFL was around concussions and national anthem. And like, we'll get into this with you on the national anthem front. We're not part of that. We're not going to solve that for you. But on the concussion front, I'm not saying we're solving it, but we are a health and safety partner. So we knew when we walked into it, that's what we wanted to do. And so that has been how we've grown as the NFL has grown along the way. And I go to international, like that's one of our biggest opportunities with the NFL. Because, oh, by the way, like when the Vikings last year had to go play a game in London, win that game in London, come back the next week and win in Chicago with no bye week, how they slept and how they handled jet lag mattered. So for us, that's a big piece. And as you go into further expansion with international, we are an expert on that side for the team's players to make sure that they can do that and be successful.
So, first few years as a partner in the NFL, doing it on your own or perhaps with another agency. What made the decision to bring in 7D2 and Sunny, and how did they change your ability to be effective in delivering that message you just walked us through?
Well, and you could repeat what Glenn had said earlier, and Tim had said earlier. We needed somebody who understood what our role was, what we could own in that space, and how that mattered to the consumer, and how that mattered to the audience, and where we could reach them with that message. And through the conversations, that's what we're doing with them. That's what they understood that well. And we're just early in that journey, but having them understand it, they know the NFL so well that from our side, and you know, they've learned our story well, like it gives us huge possibility of where we can go. And they got it, and that, you know, go back to the early conversation, it's like, you know early on if somebody understands it, even if they're learning it, versus somebody who wants to tell you they understand it. And early on in the conversation with Damian and the team, they understood.
Damian?
Well, I was just going to add to this that we try to show up as learners, not experts. So very quickly, you just close your mouth and open your ears and learn about someone's business, and then apply those learnings, of course, to the work that we're hired to do. But what was interesting to me about this conversation is your point is everybody sleeps on a bed. I walked into the conversation expecting to talk about beds. And in fact, we started very quickly talking about performance and high-performing athletes and high-performing individuals. I'm like, well, damn, I'm one of those. Why am I sleeping on this piece of wood? This is terrible. And so very quickly, it became clear to me that what they are doing is something so different than what I always thought about the category. And so part of it was for us was to get behind and underneath the brand itself and help to tell the authentic story that was already there in a way the consumer can understand, appreciate, and connect with. Ultimately, we're trying to sell items, we're trying to move units, and so you've got to connect to the audience, and you can't do that by just saying we're a different type of mattress company. Well, in fact, we're not. We're a performance company.
Yeah, so I've got to imagine when you first approached the C-suite at Sleep Number about, hey, we're going to become an NFL sponsor, they maybe pushed back a little bit because they didn't see the connection. How did you build that story? Because it is, to Damian's point, a truly different type of activation than, let's say, a Visa or a Budweiser or a Pepsi. So how did you sell that in, and did you have to sell it in?
Yes, when you're a $2 billion company and you're, you know, partnering with the largest sports and entertainment platform in North America, that's not a small investment. And yes, if they weren't skeptical, they should have had their jobs from that side. But yeah, I mean, the conversation was like, let's find what we need to communicate. Let's figure out what our objectives is, and does this property line up with it? And we did dip our toe a little bit. We actually had 2 team partnerships, the Vikings and the Cowboys, before we signed on with the NFL. But yeah, we are very metric driven. We're a vertically integrated company where we can see metrics the whole time, from early research down to buying. And from that, we understand that. We have a lot of clients we want. We had to prove that that was going to happen along the way, and not an experiment before that to understand. But once we did that, then there's a leap of faith. But as we've proven it, obviously, Shelly, our CEO, is this week, and she's 100% in it, right? And so it was a long journey, and we had to prove why it was going to work. Because I always say a lot of sponsorship and partnerships are emotional. Ours couldn't be, like, right? It had to be founded in business, and then, as Damian said, at the end of the day, sell our product.
Had to put you to sleep, basically. So let's take a look at a couple spots. I think you guys have 3 spots we want to show today. The first 2 we'll show right in a row, perhaps, and then the third one we'll save after we go through the first 2. Do you want to set up the 2 spots we're going to see to start, or do you even know which ones we got queued up? Because I know there's been a bit of back and forth.
I'll take a guess which one it is. So, yeah, so our first spot, this is the very first one we did with 72 at Sun. And it actually, we were looking at couples and high performance couples, to Damian's point. So it wasn't initially going to be, quote unquote, obviously with an athlete, but we found the perfect couple for it. And as we went through the process, we always go to build an authentic story, tell an authentic story. And they had an authentic story because they had just gone through this and had slept out a Sleep Number bed, and actually had just bought a Sleep Number bed on their own before we reached out to and connected them. So,
And the key pieces that I think is really important is, that is 80% of NFL players choose a Sleep Number smart bed. They're not forced to have one, it's not league mandated. It's because they need to perform at the highest possible level, and 80% of them feel like this particular bed helps them do that. In real talk, something that happened just today, literally 58 minutes ago, I get a text while I'm sitting in the back. And it's from a friend of mine who's a former NFL player, played for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's like, yo, bro, I see you're about to go on that stage at Brand Innovators. I need the Sleep Number person's contact. I need a new bed. 3 exclamation points. This guy's now in the league 10 years.
That sounds like Damaune.
And he is sending me a note talking about, you're going to be with this guy, I need his contact information because I need a new bed. Like, it really matters to these folks. And if we could just take that, our hope was that the spot would signal to people that it's not just something that athletes use. We're all high performers, and if you want an edge, this thing can really help.
well, I think this spot was a great evolution and where 72 helped us go to, because previously, you may have seen, for 3 years we worked with Dak Prescott, right? And, you know, at some levels it became, we were the Dak Prescott NFL brand. Again, he's QB1 at the Cowboys, that's, you know, it's high profile, but we do have this stat where 80% of the players have a Sleep Number smart bed. That's a lot of players. And so part of this is to show that, you know, by having 2 different players and 2 different teams with a history of each other, they both went to LSU, both grew up in Southern Louisiana, but we could show that it was these high performers in the league, and many of them, and, you know, really showcasing that 80% stat, and that's how we ended up with those 2 particular people as well.
80% is amazing. That's outstanding. And obviously you've got sales data, but what are the other areas that you look to define success of your investment with the NFL? Because obviously, end of the day, if you sell more beds, great, it's a success. But what else are you using to tell that story along the way?
Yeah, I mean, to tell the story, again, I'll use the examples from this week. So last night, we did a program with the NFL that was a Crucial Catch Live. So on our side, American Cancer Society, we're a large part of it. NFL is a large partner. So combining the platform that is the NFL and that Crucial Catch, that is something we added in our second deal with the NFL. It's just a great way for us to get that cause that's extremely close to us and start conversations. And so that was a good example of how we can make an impact with our causes. Today, this morning, we had Justin, Puka, Tony Pollard all talking to TV and radio outlets about how they like the bet, right? For us, yes, there's an impression level on it, but we're using the biggest platform here in the week of Super Bowl to tell that story in a lot of different places, right? So, you know, there's different ways we can take advantage of this to really get that across, because they will hit those KPIs along the way, and it does have to sell bets, right? That's the one thing that I get brought back in the principal's office are, as our sales go, what is the NFL doing to drive this? Because we need it. Because it is one of our biggest pillars, one of the biggest investments in our marketing programs.
Yeah, not an easy story to tell sometimes. I mean, so if you have that direct connection, it makes it a lot easier when you go back to the boardroom, I guess, in terms of telling that story. So anything currently, though, that you can't track that you wish you could track? Like, is there a missing piece?
There is that piece from consideration to I'm going to a store. Like, right, we let you buy however you want to buy. Like, you can buy online, we actually allow you to chat by, we actually, if you want to pick up a phone, that makes you more comfortable, we'll let you do that. Yeah, 88% of our customers choose that I want to go into a store. And that is the piece from consideration to becoming a lead, is the piece that is the hardest, because we get so much digital traffic, and we're a high, consideration, low frequency, low interest model, and getting to the store. That's the piece where we have a drop off, that we have a little more leap of faith of where they're going and where we're losing them.
Got it. So you have one more spot. I believe it's a new spot that has or has not debuted. Is this a world debut right here?
Yeah, this is.
All right. So this is exciting. It's something that you'd like to set up for the crowd here, Damian or Patrick.
I think you should set it up, Patrick.
All right, let's go through Patrick.
Well, this is a good one to play after the first two, because if you did not see yourself in the first two yet, hopefully you'll see yourself in this third one, because that's the idea. Again, it is a category that's broadly relevant, and so we want to make sure we are connecting with everybody. So
let's wrap it up. Great.
I just want to say one thing about this that's really interesting. So, in our line of work, the product is often this, something you can see on the screen somewhere. And people associate our work with creativity, which is important because we are a creative agency. That's our bread and butter. We do what we think better than anyone else on planet Earth. But the key piece about good creativity is it starts with wonderful strategic insights. If you don't get that part right, your creativity will fall flat when it hits the consumer. And in this case, the insight was that lots of couples around the world have this dynamic where one likes the bed one way and the other one likes it the other way, and it causes a problem. And someone's not sleeping well or someone's annoying the other one. And so to be able to find that one little, what seemingly is minor but critically important when you're trying to make a decision on why to buy a bed that might be more expensive than the other one, that insight really matters to people. And our prediction is it'll resonate with a lot of couples who are trying to figure out why the bed is too hard or too soft or too cold or too hot. So the strategic insights are important in this game.
Well, I can say it resonated with me if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. Let's have a little bit of fun. It is Super Bowl week. Let's enjoy the reason why we're here. So we're going to do a little rapid fire questions. First answer comes to your mind, just go ahead and shout it. We'll each go one at a time through each of the questions, and we'll go from there. So Patrick, let's start with you. Favorite NFL team? I think this is an easy one.
Well, I always say I've got two hats. As a 12-year-old boy, I'm a Vikings fan. As a partner of America's team, I'm a Cowboys fan. So, it always pains me when they lose that playoff game, because if they were playing here, it'd be really good for us.
All right. Who wins on Sunday, Patrick?
We are partners with the Kansas City Chiefs, so I will never go against Patrick Mahomes.
All right. What teams are here in New Orleans next year at this time?
Oh, wow. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs again. And I really wanted the Detroit Lions this year, so I'm going to go.
Was that your tattoo that was on the screen earlier today?
It is. Be shocked where it is, though.
Yeah. Last question for you, Patrick, and then we'll go to Damian. Other brands you watch closely in the sponsorship space based on their success?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the NFL space, I always go to what is your insight and what are you trying to jump off of? And actually, I also like people that are truly trying to use the player platform. So I'm probably going to defer that, but I think they're bounced around a lot of who is that. So I'm going to give you one.
Come on. Everybody's dying to know. Damian, all right, we'll go to you then. Favorite NFL team? I'm guessing it's Detroit.
You got that right. So go Lions. I thought you were going to say favorite football team, and I was going to mention the Michigan Wolverines, which are the national champions. So currently the best team on planet Earth until Sunday, but the Lions, that's my squad.
Got it. So who wins on Sunday then?
The Lions aren't in it, so I don't care. No, actually, I think it's going to be the Chiefs. I would like it to be the 49ers. I live in the Bay. I just think that Mahomes is hard to beat.
It's true. And so what teams are here next year? Detroit versus who?
Yeah, it's going to be the Lions versus probably Patrick Mahomes. We're going to beat him to death. He'll want to retire.
And then you have a unique lens on the landscape because you work for an agency. So what brands are you watching that are active in the sponsorship space?
All the ones that we support, those are the best ones.
Any of those ones that stick out?
Sleep numbers, outstanding. No question about that. I mean, there's actually quite a few who do a good job. I think that the Frito-Lay group, the Doritos, all that, they do interesting work and things of the sort. They figure out how to take advantage of the moment. But I don't know. I think Sleep Number does it the best.
Perfect. Frito-Lay is literally everywhere in Vegas this week if you've been around town.
Giant Dorito is the whatever the hotel was, the Luxor.
But I bet all the executives at Frito-Lay are sleeping on a Sleep Number, right?
They should be.
Yeah. Well, we'll take. You have time? Oh, we're running out of time. So thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Damian. It was great having the conversation.